Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again. My name is Jack. This is Alternative Me, the show where we take a look at my favorite bands of the early 90s alternative era. These bands were all extremely influential in my life, and these are the bands that I want to pay tribute to as I move forward making my record this year in 2021. The band I'm going to talk about today is Dinosaur Jr., one of the most influential bands, if not the most influential band of the entire decade of the 90s. If you talk to any band of that era, they're going to tell you that one of their main influences, at least guitar-wise, was definitely Dinosaur Jr. They were led by Mascis, who's basically the face of the band. The various other musicians have kind of moved in and out, but the one constant in Dinosaur Jr. is Mascis, the singer, the songwriter, and one of alternative rock's guitar heroes. We don't have too many of them because alternative music isn't really known for that aspect of music, which has always been one of the reasons I've been so attracted to it. You know what I mean? I've always liked that fast punk song, and I like short songs. And Dinosaur Jr. is one of those bands that does write really good songs, but Mascis himself is quite a bit of a guitar virtuoso and a guitar hero. And growing up, I never really heard Jimi Hendrix. I mean, I knew who Jimi Hendrix was, but my parents didn't listen to Jimi Hendrix. They were Greek. They listened to Greek music. So when I heard Dinosaur Jr. and I hear this guitar playing, to me, this was kind of a fresh new sound. And it wasn't until later, till I heard, Band of Gypsies and all the other great Jimi Hendrix records, that, this is where Mascis learned, this style of guitar playing. But to me, he was the guitar hero, and I was just really, really captivated by the guitar tone, that chainsaw type sound that he had coming out of his amplifier. And if you've ever seen Dinosaur Jr. live, then you know they are definitely one of the loudest bands. One time I saw them outdoors at the Lollapalooza festival, and they were still unbelievably loud. Like, they were so loud it sounded like a jet taking off. Like, you could not help but have your ears blown out. And this is outdoors. So that makes this band sort of iconic in a way. And they really, they're one of those bands that everybody references, but you don't hear a lot of Dinosaur Jr. You don't really hear them played a lot. When you're walking through Target or Marshalls, like, you don't really hear. It's rare that you'll hear Dinosaur Jr. But amongst other musicians, especially, they're listed as probably the most influential of bands. If I were to probably their first record came out in 1985, was called Dinosaur, because originally they were called Dinosaur, but then they were going to get sued, so then they changed it to Dinosaur Jr. So that first album is basically a self-titled album. It's just called Dinosaur. Then in 87, they released You're Living All Over Me, and this has so many great songs like Little Fury Things and Raisins in a Jar. This is where the sound really came together. This is where you really start to hear that grunge, that noisy guitar sound. There's even a song called Sludge Fest, which I think is a really accurate and appropriate description of what Dinosaur Jr. sounded like at that time. Bug was then in 1988, and that has their iconic song Freak Scene. I'm using the word iconic a lot, but trust me, when it comes to Dinosaur Jr., it really applies. Freak Scene is a really, really great song. Some would probably say it's their masterpiece. And then in 91, they released an album called Green Mind, and this was their major label debut. And it's the first time I heard them. And, a lot of people say the first album they hear is always their favorite. But I think this is a really, really, sweet spot in Jay's career, because he had just been signed to a major label. He was just about to be exposed to a big audience. Alternative music was just about to just explode in 1991. But he was also a real seasoned veteran, having released 3 albums already. So it was a really great time in his career. I think as a songwriter, Green Mind has the strongest song structure, if it's not maybe not the noisiest or loudest, but it definitely has the best songs in my opinion. Wagon, Puke and Cry, Blowing It, and Thumb being my favorites. So yeah, Dinosaur Jr. If you're talking to someone, if you're having a musical conversation with someone and they say one of their favorite bands is Dinosaur Jr., make that person your friend, because that person is knowledgeable about music and is, you're definitely going to get along if you want to listen to some good stuff. Their influence was huge. Their bass player, Lou Barlow, went off after he quit Dinosaur Jr. and formed Sebado, another extremely influential band on my life and on alternative music in general. And you can check out the Sebadoh Alternative Me episode because I did it a few weeks back, and you can check that out. I will link to it down below. Why didn't Dinosaur become an even bigger band? I mean, they, in the 90s, they were pretty well known, but, I would say they sort of personify that slacker mentality of the 90s, that Gen X attitude of just being like, so what, and you saw Jay get interviewed. He was very shy. He was very soft-spoken, and it's almost like he really didn't like the spotlight very much at all anyway. And they had a very loyal fan base, so it's not like he really needed to go out of his way to become, a big, giant, multi-Grammy winning star. But they're still around. And on April 23rd, Sweep It Into Space is the name of the new Dinosaur Jr. album. It comes out in just about a month. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. That's April 23rd, Sweep It Into Space. Looking forward to hearing some new Dinosaur Jr. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap up this episode of Alternative Me with a cover of the Dinosaur Jr. song Wagon from Green Mind. There's a way I feel right now. Wish you'd help me, don't know how. We're all nuts, so who helps who? Some help when no one's got a clue. Baby, why don't we? Baby, why don't there's a place I'd like to go. When you get there, then I'll know. There's a place I know you've been. There's a wagon, get on in. Baby, why don't we? Baby, why don't we? You won't see me. You won't see me. There you are, and here I stand, trying to make you feel my hand. You won't see me. You won't see me. Ring the doorbell in your mind, but it's locked from